Objective, live from Washington, D.C. We're at the conference. We're having a great time. We just experienced a 4th of July celebration. They read the actual Declaration of Independence. I never actually knew what that thing said beyond like the first 3 lines. But it's good stuff. Read it. And we're here to discuss today, is America still awesome? Please leave a like, hit the join button, and super chat your questions, comments, and support. Now we need your support more than ever. We are up here. We got 2 people born on American soil, I believe, and 2 people who chose to be American, well, or will choose to be. I would like to ask, and the topic of the show is America still awesome? Let's find out. We've got Don Watkins, we've got Jonathan Hoenig, and Nikos Rucka.
And I'll just say an immense live studio audience. Well, I mean, an amazing turnout, and especially important to talk about on this 4th of July holiday. We just want to encourage people to support the Ayn Rand Center UK. Do it on Super Chat. Mark Moses has already chimed in, Daniel as well. Well, you know, as someone who edited a book by Ayn Rand about Americanism, I'll just chime in and say, shortly, I don't think America's sense of life has evaporated as Ayn Rand knew it. This is my estimation. But I do think it is diminished. I do think it is quieter. And what's invigorated me about this presentation, especially the OCON this year, is that it's invigorated me in the knowledge of Ayn Rand really understood America. She was fighting for it. Individualism and Americanism are inseparable. So the flame, to me, burns even higher, brighter, even knowing that, at least for now, I think most of America simply doesn't get it. It's a way of hedging your answer. So I think America's still great, but I think it's less great than it probably was.
So I guess we gotta make it great again. That's a bad joke to make at a time like this, especially a block away from the Capitol. But anyway, Don, you must have some thoughts about this.
So Ayn Rand had this view that she wrestled with when she's young, which is like, what's my view of man, given that like the people around me are by and large not that great? And what she realized, what she came to think, is that no, it's not a statistical issue that one moral giant redeems the species, that your view of man is shaped by your view of the ideal and the best people around you. And my view of America is not statistical. It's the fact that there are people who embody the best of what Americanism is. Many of the people in this room and in this conference and on this stage. And so when I think about like, why is America worth saving and fighting for, it's very specific and concrete. It's not just, we have this amazing document that was created by people who created an amazing country. It's the fact that there's still Americans left, and you have to fight for that, and that has to color your whole view of the value of this country.
What about Nikos?
Well, Nikos wanted to go last.
Yeah, so I'll talk at some point also about anti-Americanism, because anti-Americanism was my introduction to politics. But before that, something about positive about America. So last night, I was with someone from Eastern Europe who has a good job in an Eastern Europe country. And he's telling me how desperate he is to move to the United States. And there's no particular reason in terms of, this guy has a job, this guy is happily married, and yet he wants to move. And I was thinking, he comes from an Eastern European country, which is the place where most stupid conservatives think, oh, it's the real nice thing, that they have the real Christian civilization, America is like woke, and I was thinking, how good would it be to trade? So find the Trumpite who thinks he's gonna find like tradcon women with flowery dresses in Eastern Europe, and switch places with that person who wants to come to the United States and thrive. So quite often, you people who are within the United States don't realize how still people outside the United States view it as the place of promise, the promised land, to put it this way, mostly because of this aura around it. Like a silly example, down the road there's this pharmacy shop in Greece where they sell from aspirin till like food supplements. In Greece, you would have to go to 5 different shops to find these things. The fact that here you enter like in a random corner a pharmacy store, and it has everything that you could find imaginably related to health, it's something which is like, yeah, you want to start chanting USA, USA. And again, for someone in this country, this is something which is taken for granted, taken for given. But all this largesse, for us who are from outside the United States, there's still something special and relevant in it.
Just wait till I introduce you to the bodega.
Okay. I follow a Twitter account called Bodega Cats, so I've seen pictures.
That is an integration on par with sex and economics.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the fact that you can buy so many things in one store.
Yeah.
Reminds me of I was giving a friend of mine who's here in the audience and his wife a tour of Detroit, Michigan, and we stopped in this department store similar to Target or Walmart, one of those like everything stores, and it's the kind of place like I always thought of, dreams go to die over there. It's like you go there because, like, you just really need something. They were, like, blown away. Look how cheap everything is, how available everything is. And these are world travelers. They've been everywhere. And this is what makes them fall in love with a country. It's this middle of nowhere department store, the things I would take for granted having lived in America for so long. So, yeah, to me, like, America is about... a big element is the commercialism, the cereal aisle to me represents liberty and modernity. Soviets come here, they famously would walk through the cereal aisle and cry. They couldn't believe how many options and how colorful and bright it all is. Of course kids form their best memories, around sugary cereals and stuff like that. I don't eat much of that anymore, but it still means something to me. That to me is America. And that's gone to dimensions never dreamed of in the past. Silicon Valley is digitalizing our existence, importing talent from all over the world. That's America to me. So the fact that the explicit patriots, self-identified patriots these days, are largely turning their back on America's spirit doesn't really change much, Like I've always said, today's Trump nationalists, they're doing what progressives did 100 years ago. So we could have done this episode 100 years ago and asked, is America still awesome? Of course it is. The best is yet to come in so many ways. So it's about the essence. It's about the spirit. It's about the individualism. It's about capitalism. And it's about people who are willing to fight for all of those things.
And I'll just say and jump in. Obviously, we're all fans and students of objectivism and Ayn Rand here. I mean, I've always held, and I'm sure you guys agree, that Miss Rand is America's philosopher. She is America's modern day philosophical voice, I think, like unlike any other. So I think we are, as objectivists now, in a really unique position because everyone, I think, is standing around looking at them and saying, well, is America great? Because they don't even know what really its founding principles and ideas are about. So Miss Rand understood it. And so through all of her writings, now is a great time, hopefully, to make that association. It's a lot of what we're doing with the ARCUK as well.
Absolutely right. And speaking of ARCUK, Mark Wickens has joined as a member. And Bonnie just super chatted. Thank you. Chandler super chatted saying, fought through the crowd to get here. Kirk with $9.99 says, what's the best city in America?
Best for whom and for what, right? I mean, and to what end? Best for chow, best for hookups. I mean, there's a lot of reason,
that's your domain, isn't it?
There's an objectively correct official doctrinaire objectivist view on this. New York City, and I endorse that 100%.
Well, there it is.
All right, we've settled that. But no, you guys both raised a point, though, that I do want to underline, which is I resent enormously the fact that the people who most self-identify as patriotic and pro-American are so deeply anti-American. And I mean, that is a really troubling. There's something almost refreshing when you encounter left-wing people who are like, oh, the founding fathers, dead white men who owns. It's like, well, at least nobody's going to confuse you with the champion of Americanism. But when you have what it means to be pro-American is represented too often by the worst of America, that is really, I think, outrageous, and I think it's actually dangerous.
Well, where did Rand write that capitalists are often the worst defenders of capitalism? And probably a number of places, but I often think that as well as people who
Patriots and the worst defenders of
so-called
patriotism.
patriots, or almost
America's biggest enemies, it's not its adversaries, but its alleged advocates, to paraphrase what she said about capitalism. Some of the people who wave the flag the most and talk about how America's the greatest country. I mean, just look at the 2000s, after 9/11. If you questioned America's incoherent foreign policy, you hate the troops and you hate freedom and you hate America, and that's the way you were treated. And similarly today, and if you question this freak show that's been happening in politics on the right, that means you're a leftist, and you're on the left and all of that. And of course, if you question the leftist narrative, then you're all types of things as well.
And this is Nikos' whole expertise. In fact, Nikos is going to be teaching a course with the new Ayn Rand Center University explicitly on one of his expertises of tribalism. And this is your world now, is that
but
we are balkanized, as Rand would say.
And actually, the hate of America was, particularly in countries like Greece, it's something which Americans, you cannot even imagine. So I went to university, and every day before entering class, beside the door, there was not a graffiti, like a slogan by leftists. I mean, there were slogans by leftists everywhere, but that particular one said, here it rhymes in Greece. Here it is, a Boeing flying over Manhattan. Oh, how I wish that every day would be 9/11. And for years, no one thought to kind of wipe it out. So, and I was trying to think, why do we hate the United States so much in Greece? The left and the right. The official version is that they betrayed us with Cyprus when the Turkey invaded and occupied northern Cyprus, that they supported the dictatorship and all that stuff. But I don't think it's only this, because I don't think that if it weren't for the tragedy of Cyprus, the leftists would be pro-America. I think this vision of this cockiness of America, this idea of you are proud, you're larger than life, and usually, what was the term they would use for American? Cowboys. Mm-hmm. The cowboy was the figure of pride, of kind of strength, and I think this is what triggers them. Particularly the orthodox and the socialist kind of mentalities that you have to be meek, you have to be kind of humble, and this idea of the John Wayne, this is what they cannot stand. So, and I was guilty. I was guilty of that. So, after 9/11, I remember everyone exchanging. That was the viral back in the day, was with text. Within half an hour after 9/11, jokes going viral, like United Airlines is gonna drop you at your place, like horrible stuff like this. But it was with everyone, not only with communists. And everyone had their pet theory on how this was an inside job and all that stuff. So, again, it's worth thinking, why all this hate? By people wearing blue jeans, by people listening to rock, and by people consuming mostly American products. So, it's not something particular that the United States have done, and this is something also important. If you're so sensitive, for example, about US foreign policy, you cannot be an apologist for Soviet Union. If you're an apologist for Soviet Union, but you tell me, oh, I hate the United States because of imperialism, I'm not going to be very much convinced. So it's almost a sense of life element which leads to this hatred for America. And again, I was one of these people, and I'm trying to introspect and figure out why all this hate and why particularly for America.
Well, notice it's basically a blown up version of the same thing that you see about an individual who's driven by hatred of the good for being the good and by envy. And part of it, and if you look at like how the countries become deeply dictatorial and authoritarian, often kind of a driving element is we want our country to be important and we don't feel that we're important. I mean, if you think about part of, I think, the whole Islamic totalitarian thing is we've been basically shown that we're pathetic and we don't want to feel pathetic. And so we're going to go smack the, quote, bully and try to convince the world that he's a bully. And I think that it's really the same psychology of bad people that drives it at an international level, too.
Yeah, the way people look at America, I think, tells you what they think of Western civilization and what they think of, reason, what they think of capitalism, what they think of individualism. if someone is friendly to all of those things and supports all those things, then they see America as the greatest achievement historically and the place worth fighting to save. And other Western countries as well. So like people who blame England and France and Israel for every problem in the world. I think generally the fact that you would look at this world and all the various, topsy-turvy cultures out there and all of the atrocities, and that you think the problem is Western countries, for all of our mistakes and our inner conflicts that we're struggling with, to blame the West and to blame America and other Western countries for what's wrong with the world, I think it betrays that you're actually opposed to what's good about these countries. If you really want to live a happy life on Earth, then I think you'd have no choice but to recognize kind of what's good about America and what worth fighting to preserve.
Well, Yaron has made a big point and kind of basically in effect that people don't know why they're voting for the ideas that they're voting for, and why they're supporting the ideas that they're voting for. And if you said to them, you should be for self-interest, they'd say absolutely not, because well, you need to sacrifice for this group or that group. And he's made the point several times that what does the GOP say and the so-called right say is the best thing about America now? It's the tradition and the trees and the landscape and the history. And of course the left says maybe it's something like, well, one day we'll all get a free education, etc. And so no one identifies individualism as having anything to do with what Americanism is. So that's what to me is, as an objectivist, it's like, we're off to the side now. Like individualism doesn't even have a seat at the table of what Americanism is anymore. It's like it's like LaRouches. If you know what the LaRouches used to be in American politics, like they were the crazy guys off on the side. And like, why is it now that individualism is seen as that? Oh, that old chestnut, that's old yesterday's news. It's like collectivism is the only thing at the table now, and individualism is that kind of weird thing that's off to the side.
Well,
that's frustrating.
Ayn Rand made this point about the way that you got the transition from the old left to the new left, that the old left said, hey, we want prosperity and industrialization, and the way to that is collectivism. And then that didn't work out. Like the socialist countries failed. They had a choice to make, and they rejected prosperity and industrialization. That's like the whole environmental movement and egalitarianism. And you see the same thing on the right, is they used to be, we want our God and our guns and Americanism, and they would even, criticize collectivism and use the language of individualism. And then when it got pushed to the point where they faced a choice of like, are we going to hold on to the individualism, or are we going to hold on to the religion and the, attack the left in whatever way we can, they took the tribal religious route. And I think in other words, it's not like we had individualism had a seat at the table in any significant way 10 years ago, mm-hmm. and it got pushed out. It was revealed that it never did. It just, there was lip service paid to it in a way that there increasingly is not lip service paid to it.
Yeah, individualism is now laughed at by the types of the crowds who used to embrace it or used to speak about fighting for it. Now it's like, haha, remember when we were individualists? Remember when we thought capitalism is the way? But look, the left used capitalism to silence us. The left used liberty in order to indoctrinate our kids and to steal elections, etc. So basically, it's a lonely time to be a capitalist. It's a lonely position.
But then you say like what Don said about looking at these individual accomplishments, and like I don't particularly like Elon Musk the showman, but when you see that rocket take off, then land itself, I'm like speechless every time I see it, and you think that these miracles are still being rolled out day after day after day in all these different fields. It does sustain me. It does give me hope, despite the fact I think he's kind of a jackass in his public Twitter life, especially. I mean,
and that's the important part. It's not just objectivists, right? Like there's real Americans like doing really grand, profound things, and they might not be consistent, but that's part of what you want to do is like speak to the best in them and help them see like that's like what we need to be protecting and idealizing in the country, and not the other garbage.
And so many of the best Americans were not born here. I mean, whether you look at the list of prominent objectivist philosophers from Ayn Rand onward, or just look at Elon Musk, who is South African, or various other titans of industry or the various people working for them that you'll never even hear of who are making these projects happen. They come from all over the world. They come from places in the world that a short time ago were seen as third world shitholes, to quote Trump. And I sorry to keep bringing him up during our special day, in our little oasis here where we're supposed to be, pretending that the world out there is not as bad as it is. So I think politically it's never been this bad. Politically, it's never been this bad in the state of things. But culturally, in terms of people's spirit and attitude, it's never been this good, maybe, or it's up there right now. It's really good. The optimism, the can-do attitude, the people actually accomplishing things, and I think that's the type of thing ultimately that will save lives, that will save the world. It's that when people are selfish, and we're seeing that.
I mean, you're more optimistic than I am. I think like those things are degrading quite a bit. But that's why I think it's important to keep in mind that that's not what's like ultimately important and valuable, right? It's that there is the core of the people who kind of retain and maintain that.
Do you remember where Rand wrote, I believe, maybe it was Dr. Peikoff, something effective like, you can move to France and you'll always be an American living in France, but people move to America and they become American. I mean, somewhere out there, but that's the thing, as you said, is that I think of people like, Nikos lives in Greece, but to me, I think of him as being American in that best sense, his sense of life and his view of the world.
First time in my life I hear that.
No, I mean, and the same thing. I mean, people who come here and live here, I always quickly feel like saying, "You've been here 2 years. You're working like you're an American now. You're one of us." And I think that's that best sense of the melting pot of throwing away the junk from the old country and bringing all that aspiration and all that great positive sense of life. And immigration is such a part of the American story, and it's just kind of another one of those kind of litmus test issues on which, I mean, Dr. Binswanger gave an address the other day about it, but that's certainly not one that's going to be very popular in mainstream America right now, at least yet.
Yeah. By the way, new member of the channel, Adam Reed.
Adam!
And we got some super chats, if that's agreeable. We've got Marilyn, thank you. We've got Brandon asking, do you think America is still the freest country in the world and the best hope for free people everywhere, or has another country taken its place?
I don't know a particular other country, so also I've heard there are many states in the United States where you can smoke indoors. I was saying to someone the other day, seriously, smoking indoors is the litmus test for freedom. Think about it. It's a very unpopular thing. So if people do not understand why it's property rights and it's a defense of freedom, they don't understand freedom at all. So as long as there are still states in the US where you can smoke indoors, there is still some hope. I don't know any other country where this is the case. Thank you, but I've almost quit, so my goal is to smoke less.
Oh yeah, we talked about this. You said the way to quit is just keep a pack of cigarettes in the next room over and then occasionally
Yeah, I
smoke one.
literally have one, yeah. But I'm not smoking.
Well, I'll just say, I mean, I don't know if there's an actual geographic organization or area that's better or worse now, but I'm really excited at the conference to meet young people, especially from literally all over the world, certainly all over Europe. And it says to me that what the members are doing, the super chatters are doing, everyone here is doing, is fostering interest in the right ideas, the ideas that are going to change the world. I mean, you see like Lisa Van Dam and stuff, these women and guys were kids like 10 and 15 years ago. They were students at things like ARCUK and OAC, and they grow up to become these great thought leaders and great prime movers. So, we're inspiring the next generation of them, and you guys are all helping to do it, and we really, really appreciate it because, we were all kids at some point, I'm sure y'all were, picked up the book and maybe wrote back the postcard or got in touch or saw the Tom Snyder interview. So helping to discover Ayn Rand and getting people the right ideas, it does change lives. So thank you for being part of it.
Any thoughts, Don, about if America or another country is still the best place?
I mean, there's particular axes along which you could say like other countries have more freedom in this respect or that respect. But like, so one way to think about it is from like a persuasion side. Like if you had one country you were allowed to pick to make the case for freedom, like I would pick this country precisely because Enlightenment values are embedded in the founding. There's like, you're always thinking about how can I appeal to shared values? And like, we have that starting point even if they have so much less of a grip and an understanding than they did, in past generations, I think it's going to be very hard for another country to kind of like surpass that. And you couldn't measure that simply by like, well, it's easier to like, build a building, even though that would be really valuable to have.
Yeah, economically, other countries have sort of come and gone as like the leader of economic freedom, or maybe in other ways, like was it the Netherlands who permitted marijuana before anyone else? But I mean, some things are deeper than that. Some like the ghosts of the founding fathers still walk among us here in America. There's something about Americans that just cannot be extinguished, and we attract more like us. Like you look around the people in this audience, it's like half of them are not even from this country, but like they embody the spirit. And so America, to me, still is the land of the free. It's the land of the founders, and no matter how much work is done to kind of undo that, something about America just doesn't want to go out.
I have a question for you guys. What's the best America song? So we did 3 of them this morning at the celebration. We skipped out on some others.
I mean, I like, it's kind of down. It's not exactly tiddlywink music, but the song America by Simon and Garfunkel, it's, again, kind of a downer, but I think it's quite beautiful and melodic. So I'm not going to sing it for you now. You can, you all know the tune, but.
Come on, baby, light my fire.
All right.
Put
that in the mix as well.
Beer for my horses.
Well, these are songs,
These are good
by
songs.
Americans.
These are good songs, but not so much about. I guess they are American songs.
Why not Steppenwolf, Born to Be Wild?
Yeah.
A car, a highway, freedom.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bit of
Just the idea of what's the
spirit,
song that emblemizes.
No, for me, like if I were
Born to Be Wild.
on a track with American flags, that's the song that will be playing.
Whenever I'm driving through the empty, desolate highways of America, I listen to C.W. McCall. He sang Convoy, especially with recent news out of Canada, land of the free, with the convoys over there. Let's come and join our convoy, rocking through the night. He's kind of country rapping and singing about how the cops are trying to stop this convoy, but the truckers just won't hear about it. That's
Fascinating.
yeah.
That's reading America to you right now.
Yeah, it's the spirit. Again, I don't actually like what these lyrics often say, like they're anti-industry, they're anti-Yankee industrialization. A lot of them are probably into, Confederate statues and flags. I mean, they're not explicitly promoting Americanism, but there's something about the American people and a lot of the cultural products that sort of still embody the spirit.
Well, what about, if it doesn't have to be America in song, what about something like Life is a Highway? The kind of exuberance and fun and, the song. I'm not going to sing it. Life is the highway. Oh, nah, there's something about that. It's a little simple. What are you going to ride on? But there's something about that maybe hits on your sense of kind of being out there and pursuing your self-interest. I don't know. What do you think, Don?
No, I mean, I like your answer. I mean, for me, it's like I really do have a reverence for America, and so like this for me, God bless America. Ayn Rand was interviewed once, and I forget which interviewer it was, but at the end he said, like, you love this country, don't you? And she says, yeah, yes. And then he said, you might even thank God. She said, yeah, I don't mean a literal God, but she likes what the expression means, the highest possible. And so, like, when I hear God bless America, like, it's bringing that moral idealism to it in a way that, like, really, like, hits home hard.
Yeah, I remember that. I think it was Snyder, and she says,
Yeah.
"Oh, do you want me to get emotional?" And she was
Right.
getting emotional about it. Yeah, that's a really special moment.
Absolutely. I think Rand said something like, if I were religious, I would say God bless America, and I'm not religious, but I'll say it anyway.
Yes.
That was one of the times she said that. P. Gupta, Super Chat, says, enjoy John's reading of America for me today.
Thank you. Well, it was such a great event. As I said, and part of what OCON's done this year is they've brought so many people in from overseas, young people, new people. So, and then Tom Bowden, who's one of the organizers, made the point, it's everyone's Declaration of Independence, and old to young, all different backgrounds. So it was a really it's a really moving ceremony. You know, we can have ceremonies in objectivism, and it was really something very special. So
Yeah, it's like, and if you will, that's like our religion in a way. Those
yeah,
are our
it was a
rituals.
really beautiful shared experience, and I think that's what people find here when they meet other objectivists. Is like everyone has his or her own context, but by and large, they're doing something interesting. They've got passions, they've got values, and just a really benevolent spirit I found.
Marilyn super chats complimenting my legs. Thank you for that.
Speaking of songs, are we allowed to throw something in?
I
Yeah.
suppose.
I never cared too much about texts. I mean, when songs are, as far as songs are concerned, but Willie Nelson's song, the text, "Good morning, America, how are you?" I don't know the rest of the text, but this is just so positive. It's a nice music. I mean, to me, and "Good morning, America, how are you?" I don't remember the rest of it, but just asking this question in a benevolent, nice way. How are you, America? If he hated America, he wouldn't ask that question.
True.
I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like
Just
doubling up.
just
Enric with 499 says, even intelligent intellectuals like Lex Friedman says America is just about as bad as other countries. Well, I haven't heard that quote, but sounds like another sit down with Yaron Brook is in order for Lex. Who knows? I mean, he's probably also said very positive things about America. He left Russia or Ukraine or wherever he's from, and you know, thanks his lucky stars to be here, I've heard at times. So, you know.
But it's like they say, well, this country has private health, public health care, and this one doesn't. So this one's better. You know, so it's all those studies of what's the better country, the higher quality of life. It's just like they're effed to begin with. So that's frustrating.
Yeah, thank you, Apollo Zeus, for the super chat. Equal to Reality says, "Living in America" by James Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, clearly,
I was trying to think
Rocky
what.
4 is the most
Yes,
patriotic movie ever made.
I was trying to think what was the song that played when Apollo entered the ring, and yeah, that was the one. Yeah.
The movie that ended the Cold War.
Hasselhoff singing on Berlin Wall. Okay, but seriously, who else from which country? You've seen that scene with David Hasselhoff on the Berlin Wall with a leather jacket which is signing. Okay, those of you who haven't, that's your mission for 4th of July. Put on YouTube David Hasselhoff singing on Berlin Wall. So Berlin Wall had just fallen, and he's singing a song called "I've Been Looking for Freedom." So that's now my favorite American song. Go and watch it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, when the wall came down, a little boy was one of the people who first poured out, and he was wearing a Batman shirt. You know,
Yeah, but
that should tell you what the value of art and culture and cultural products have on the world.
But is it different now in the sense that that's already happening? Like there really is no, in like less free parts of the world or places with worse philosophy, they already have those products. Like they're already kind of on board with capitalism, I guess, or consumerism on some. There's no sense of like, well, in less free countries you can't get certain products, or so does that happen anymore? That kind of miracle of discovering what a more free economy can do, or
Well, yeah. First time I was in the States, it was 2016. I remember the excitement of getting in an Uber. I was so excited that I actually took a photo of it. This was my first days in, let's say, the free market kind of ideology. So getting into Uber was an event for me. So it's still
it is amazing when you see it. It's
Yeah.
it's so beautiful. It's so efficient. It just works.
Yeah.
It's wealth creation.
Like
It makes your life better.
Like I mentioned, the cereal aisle, it's a life-changing thing, and people who haven't seen it before, their lives are changed, or people who weren't alive and now they're born and they see the cereal aisle.
And now they all get type 2 diabetes. I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
But alone, these flashy, exciting products are not enough to sustain liberty. Alone, sooner or later, it's not that flashy anymore, and your beliefs about ethics are luring you towards the collectivist and mystic side. So ultimately, we do need philosophy. We need explicit philosophy of individualism, of selfishness, and that's the only way liberty will be sustained. Yes.
How about the idea that you can start your business in a garage and become the richest man in the world?
Yeah.
And all that's in between that, those poles.
This gentleman said you can still start a business in America in a garage. You become the, wasn't that Hewlett Packard story? You know, Hewlett and Packard started in a, but now they'd say, well, you couldn't hire them. They were under 16, or you'd have to pay a minimum wage. I mean, we always
You can't
joke,
stop them. You
Yeah.
can't stop people from starting
businesses.
new things in the garage.
And you don't even have to go to the garage. You can be in bed on your phone or on a laptop doing your thing. I mean, there's just so many ways that.
It was a metaphor.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, it
yes.
was a metaphor, absolutely. If anyone, I guess, if anyone else wants to raise their hand and offer a question or a remark, Mary Aline. Oh,
We should bring, can we
Please,
bring Mary
please,
Ellen
Mary
up here?
Ellen.
Come on. Come on.
But it has to be sung by Ray Charles.
yes, America the Beautiful by Ray
That is
Charles.
Incredible.
Yes, and that was your super chat as well.
Yes.
Thank you for that. All right, if anyone else, now's the time. Go ahead, Brandon. Yes.
What is your favorite rendition of the Star Spangled Banner? For me, it's Whitney Houston.
He likes the Whitney Houston Star Spangled Banner. Any of you else have a favorite version?
The one we had this morning
It's pretty nice.
was
Woo!
I liked it 'cause it was like simple but beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't like the ones that are in the opening of NBA on basketball
I
games where
agree.
they make all these sounds like. It's like look at me rather than listen to the anthem. So yeah, one has to be, as you said, reverent is the proper term.
And
No,
I'll,
but that's why Whitney Houston did hit the right amount of like putting soul into it, but not trying to show off
Yeah,
for the sake of showing off. I
Yeah.
think that's why it really hit with people.
and I'll just say, being in the city, rolling around the city and seeing the architecture, it's like seeing, for me, it's like seeing celebrities. And that what stands out when you see the Lincoln Monument, you see the Washington Monument, and I love actually the fact that America doesn't have tons of monuments like that. You know, there's a few, but to see them as someone who doesn't see them very often, it's really exciting and special. So America is still great. I think we've decided that. We've determined that. Objectivists are, I think, leading the charge, and Miss Rand is as always. So come to Washington and see for yourself.
Yes, and thank you for your support, and thank you for being here in person. Anything coming up today, producer?
HBTV.
HBTV coming up in 2 hours. What time is that happening?
Hour and a half.
Is he going to be here?
Right here.
Harry Binswanger live in person.
It's me.
Woo, with Don.
It's gonna be good too. We have some cool ideas.
Is
Stuff.
there going to be audience there?
Is
or-
there a schedule of all the events that are happening here and in the community room? Like,
Talk to Rozzy.
sorry, what time is HBTV?
3 o'clock.
Is there going to be
3 o'clock
audience there
Eastern.
or just
Yeah, it'll be just like this. We'll be right here.
where? Here.
Right here.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
okay.
Just,
let's
and
grab-
just saying, support ARC UK to bring things like Don, Harry, and all of us to you around the
Shall we
world.
bring
Thank you.
shall we bring the guy in charge?
Come on, Toby, come on.
He's on his way, but he's making it dramatic and slow.
Yeah, I was about to read it.
more. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, there's 2 more. I see 1 more. Okay, yes, there is 2 more. Okay, Harper says, if things get really bad, would ARI be able to organize a ground invasion of Puerto Rico to install Iran as governor?
Come sit.
So yeah, would ARI? Well, first of all, we are not ARI, but if America lost the Revolutionary War, I think we would be ARI, right? Because we ARC instead. But we're not. So I don't think ARI is a intellectual powerhouse. They don't organize military invasions. I can speak on their behalf on that question.
Having said that, I'm totally for a Yaron monarchy. So
Monarch. Then you have something, or should I go on to the next super chat?
Yeah. Go.
Adam Reed with $20 says, other republics claimed rights to life and to whatever they called liberty, but the right to the pursuit of one's own happiness is uniquely American. Dvorak put it in his New World Symphony.
New World Symphony, the opening, that's the most American music ever. Well done, Adam. Where's Adam, by the way? I don't. Is he here?
He's fighting the good fight somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Jonathan Hoenig with $19.99. Thank you for that. All right, any super chats we didn't get to, leave a super thanks, everybody watching this after the fact. We need your support. I mean, listen, not to be negative, but the world needs help right now. So help us out, or help the organization out. Razi over here, we're trying to,
Do stuff.
Do stuff. Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Change the world.
Speaking of doing stuff, so yeah, other than HBTV at 3 p.m. today, 3 p.m. Eastern time, so that's 8 p.m. UK time, we will do the Daily Objective live on stage for people here. That's in the community room just nearby.
What's
And
that?
The community room.
No,
16.
we're doing the daily objective there.
Yes, every day.
Oh, so the rest of the daily objectives are not here then?
Yes.
Not in this room.
Okay, I see.
Yes.
But on this channel.
Yes. Listen to the man with the turned off microphone. All right, and with that being said, thank you, gentlemen. I think we're ready to call it a wrap. See you back here on ARCUK for the Daily Objective tomorrow. And
Same time.
goodbye. Woo!